Hey everybody, how are you doing today? It's a question that everybody is asking, and quite frankly, it's a question that these days I don't think any of us are prepared for. Least of all, me. I stopped answering that question. How am I doing? In a time of global crisis, where there's so much free-floating anxiety, when ambiguity seems to rule the day, when the minute we get a handle on what's happening in our world, all the rules begin to change right in front of our eyes and creating a whole new set of rules and ways that we might answer that question, it becomes a really confusing proposition. The other day, somebody asked me how I was doing. I said, I'm doing okay under the circumstances. And an hour later, I realized that because my son is at boarding school, that if something were to happen to me, I started to negatively future fantasize, not saying it's healthy, and imagined, would I ever get to give him a hug again? I have friends, I have people I work with in this office who are quarantined from their parents, who were of an age where the odds seem to be growing with every day that a certain percentage of those seniors in our lives here at our workplace may not make it. The rules are changing all the time, and the answer to the question, how are you doing, has to be answered somehow, and we have to find a way, as everyone keeps saying, to stay positive. So that's really what I want to talk about today, is the impossibility and the anger that I realized I was having whenever I heard people on the news say we just have to stay positive, we just have to keep our chins up. Yeah, a part of that is true. And there's another part of it that we also have to pay attention to, the voice inside ourselves that says, oh my gosh, I'm feeling overwhelmed right now, because it's putting on armor that gets in the way. So how do you live a life? How am I dealing with this? Because I think I have a solution, because I have a spiritual daily practice. I have a spiritual daily practice in my life that allows me to meet calamity with serenity, and allows me to maintain some kind of positivity, and allows me to continue to be effective and to be kind and caring, because unity, kindness, compassion, and empathy, unity, kindness, compassion, and empathy are the things that we all need to be thinking about as we're going about our days. Now, it's more important than ever. So unity, right? That's doing things with other people and for other people. We can all get our arms around that. Compassion, we understand what that means. Kindness, sometimes just doing a random act of kindness is just calling a friend and saying, I'm thinking about you, I miss you. Can I have that chocolate chip cookie recipe? But empathy is the one that trips everybody up. And as one of my favorite thought leaders, Brene Brown, always points out, that the key to happiness is leading an empathetic life. Having empathy and growing our capacity for empathy is something that allows us to be happy. And if I can be happy in times like this, as we're all dealing with this global C-19 crisis, if I can be happy, then I have a greater capacity for kindness and compassion and unity. And so it's a very noble circle. It's a very noble circle. So if I increase empathy, on one hand, selfishly, I'm happier. On the other hand, I'm more useful to my fellows. I can be of greater service to all those around me by increasing my own capacity for empathy. And I talk a lot about this, and the secret is super, super simple. And I would encourage you all to try it. I want you to be a dog. Be the dog. So let me explain to you what I'm talking about. You've just had a horrific day. Life is absolutely fallen apart. You collapse on the couch. You've lost your job. Your spouse has left you. Your kids aren't talking to you. The electricity has gone out. The roof is caved in. And you flop on the couch, paralyzed with fear and anxiety. And if you have a dog, the dog just hops up on the couch and puts its head in your lap. The dog doesn't ask anything of you. The dog just stays with you. The dog just is with you, right? So at its simplest, being the dog means just coexisting with someone else. Now, that sounds rather simplistic, but it's actually really, really, really tough. The dog is pure empathy. It's asking nothing of you, right? It's just experiencing with you. And as human beings, well, I'll just speak for myself, I want to solve the problem. But I learned a long time ago how absolutely ineffectual that was. And I'll give you an example. My wife at the time had a horrible day at work, lost the keys, lost the phone, the car comes screeching into the driveway. She comes in, she's, you know, all a bundle of anger and energy as anyone would be. And she explains to me this horrific situation that happened at work and doesn't know where her keys are, doesn't know where her phone is. And the first words out of my mouth were something to the effect of, well, did you call the security guy at your office building? And she looked at me and words, this is a dozen years ago, words to the effect of, hey, moron, of course I called the security guy, and oh, by the way, he has my phone and I'm sure my keys are sitting on my desk, so I'm going to turn around and go get them. But I wasn't looking for someone to solve my problem. I was just looking for you to be my friend and listen. So how different would it have been if I had been the dog? She comes running in, all bundle of energy, tells me the same story, and instead, I just look at her and I say, oh my gosh, that sounds awful. Sit down, tell me more. And just let her tell me what her needs are, right? That's empathy. That's being the dog. All she needed from me at that moment was just to be on her level and experience what she was talking about. And not try to mansplain anything to her, not try to solve her problem, right? She's capable of all those things, so she knows the situation she's in. She knows how to solve her problem. Super, super smart woman. I complicated matters by trying to tell someone how to solve their problem without the invitation from them. When we are being the dog and we're just listening and we're in that purely empathetic mode and we're just with someone, we allow safety and security to be built in that relationship. People will react to you. They'll react to us differently when we're being the dog. They will offer up pieces of themselves and be vulnerable, which is an invitation then for us to be vulnerable. And when you're living an empathetic life, when you are trying as best you can to be the dog, and I encourage you to practice this, right? It's called a spiritual practice for a reason. You got to practice it before you're good at it. But it doesn't take very long because the rewards are almost automatic, and you'll start to see that approaching life as the dog is a much better recipe for success, and you'll just naturally start using it all the time. By being empathetic, by being the dog, by connecting to human beings a different way and being more vulnerable, we increase our capacity for happiness. We are in less struggle with our fellow human beings. We are in less conflict with our fellow human beings. We're not walking around being an asshole, and that, by the way, is that's my disease du jour, You know, I every day break out into some kind of rash of assholery at some point. Sometimes small, sometimes big. It's gotten better over the last many years that I've been working on this type of emotional sobriety. But the key, if you are empathetic, is that you are happier. And then we are a better service to our communities and to our fellows because we have a greater capacity for unity, compassion, and kindness. And I do believe, no matter what you believe in, no matter what you define your spiritual life to be, I do believe that the reason we're all on this planet is to be of service to our fellow human beings and to love each other. At the end of the day, that's why we're here. So if you want to increase that capacity in your life, if you want to be the best version of yourself, work on empathy. And if you want to be more empathetic and be happy, be the dog.